Good evening, friends. A new movie, Jai Bhim, is the talk of the town nowadays. It is about a true incident in the year 1993 in Tamil Nadu. The movie vividly depicted custodial violence. In this lecture today, we will be discussing some important legal provisions that put check on the unbridled power of the police. According to National Human Rights Commission, a total of 1,067 people died in custody in the first 5 months of 2021. A report by National Campaign Against Torture, that is NCAT, also shows that 63% of deaths in police custody occur within 24 hours of arrest before they can be produced in court before a magistrate. So the problem is very real. We can broadly classify custodial death in three categories. First is death in judicial custody. Second is death during police action. Third, death in police custody. Okay, so we'll first discuss what is death in judicial custody. This is the least worrisome of the three, right? Most deaths in judicial custody happen due to illness or old age, etc. Lack of proper hygiene, medical treatment can be a cause of untimely death in judicial custody. We can refer to Sunil Batra versus Delhi administration, where it was said, fundamental rights, including Article 21, don't cease to operate once a person enters prison. Now, the second category, that is death during police action. Many a times we see police does encounter of criminals, Naxals, etc. They're technically not custodial deaths, but still they are a matter of grave concern. NHRC treats such cases as important red flags and has given an elaborate guideline about it. We may refer to People Union for Civil Liberties case on encounter deaths. Now, third category is death in police custody. This is the most heinous of the three. NHRC provides extremely strict guidelines to deal with such issues. We will discuss what legal safeguards are available to prevent death in police custody in the coming slides. But first, we need to know why police resorts to violence. Indian police conducts investigation in a very strange way. Instead of collecting evidence scientifically, what police does is they extract a confession from the accused and then plant evidences to corroborate. Mind you, confession before a police officer is not admissible in court of law. Yet, police will use all its might, resort to brutal assault to get a confession and then plant witness or evidence accordingly. This strategy is the cause of all custodial violence. We will not be discussing custodial rape today. Our discussion is limited to custodial violence and death resulting out of it. So these are the three categories, and there is this case Raja Kannu versus State of Tamil Nadu. In this case, the Supreme Court said that a person died in police custody because of custodial violence. The police personnel involved in this case were convicted and the wife of deceased was given compensation. Okay. Now there are certain legal provisions. First is Article 20 Clause 3 says no accused person will be compelled to be a witness against himself. This is very important as it acts as a safeguard in obtaining evidence from the accused through coercion and torture. If any pressure, mental or physical, direct or indirect, is applied by the police for obtaining information from an accused, it becomes compelled testimony and violates Article 20, Clause 3. The prohibitive sweep of this article functions in this manner and acts as a safeguard for the accused. The Supreme Court reiterated this concept in Nandini Satpathy case. The second provision is Section 24 of the Indian Evidence Act 1872, which makes all confessions made under inducement, threat, or promise as inadmissible. This section gives the accused the right not to make any confession against his will, as it is well understood that if such evidence is made admissible, it will act as a trigger for the police to use torture and force to extract evidence against him. Next provision is Section 49 of the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973, is also a safeguard against custodial excesses. It states that an arrested person shall not be subjected to more restraint than is necessary to prevent his escape. Then Section 50A of the CRPC makes it incumbent upon the police to give required information relating to the arrest of a person, including the place of arrest, to his friends, relatives, or any such a person nominated by the arrestee. Then Section 55A of the CRPC makes it mandatory for the person under whose custody the accused is detained to care of the health and safety. Section 75 of the CRPC provides for disclosing the substance of the warrant to the arrested person and even showing it to him if required. This right against self-incrimination is in tune with Article 14, Clause 3, Subclause G of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, which calls on the member states to ensure that the accused is not compelled to testify against him or to confess guilt. There are various judicial pronouncements from time to time which have very strongly spoken against custodial violence. First is Joginder Kumar versus State of UP. In this case, the Apex Court ordered that no arrest can be made on mere allegation or suspicion. It issued several directives on the modalities to be followed at the time of arrest. The arrested person would have the right that any of his friends or relatives be informed about his arrest and location of detention. The police would inform him about this right and make a suitable entry in the diary of the particulars of the person who has been informed of the arrest. The magistrate before whom the arrested person would be brought would also ensure that these directives have been adhered to by the police. The next case in line is Lilavati Behera versus State of Odisha. Here, the mother of the deceased complained that her son died in the custody of Odisha police after being beaten up and claimed compensation for violation of her son's fundamental right under Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. The court held that the state responsible for violation of fundamental rights and ordered for criminal proceedings against the responsible police officers. More importantly, it ordered that compensation of rupees 1.5 lakh be paid to the family of the deceased. Before this case, there was no structured formulation to grant compensation on cases of custodial death. On this front, the decision was a landmark one and paved the way for similar decisions thereafter. Then there's this case, Shyam Sundar Trivedi versus State of MP. In this case, the Supreme Court referred to the Law Commission in its 113th report, which recommended amendments to the Indian Evidence Act so as to provide that in the prosecution of a police officer for an alleged offense of having caused bodily injuries to a person while in police custody, if there is evidence that the injury was caused during the period when the person was in the police custody, the court may presume that the injury was caused by the police officer having the custody of that person during that period, unless the police officer proves to the contrary. The onus to prove the contrary must be discharged by the concerned police official. The court hoped that the recommendations will be accepted. Then the next case is D.K. Basu versus State of West Bengal. Okay, it laid down certain guidelines. The most important judgment with regard to this guideline is D.K. Basu. In view of the increasing evidence of violence and torture in custody, the Supreme Court in this particular case, that is D.K. Basu, has laid down 11 specific requirements and procedures that the police and other agencies have to follow for the arrest, detention, and interrogation of any person. They are, first, identification and name tags of police officers, then memo of arrest with time and date stamp and at least one witness, right of the arrested person to have a relative, friend, or well-wisher informed about the arrest, then GD entry about arrest. Arrested person can request a physical examination at the time of arrest. Minor and major injuries, if any, should be recorded. Person arrested must have a medical examination by a qualified doctor every 48 hours during detention. Person arrested has a right to meet a lawyer during the interrogation. The control room should prominently display the information of arrest on a notice board. Apart from the above, the Supreme Court in 2015 and again reiterated in 2021 to install CCTV cameras in all police stations with sufficient storage capacity and uninterrupted power supply. We all know Section 41 of CRPC was amended in the year 2008 to incorporate the D.K. Basu guidelines. Now, the D.K. Basu guidelines, whether there is need to revisit these D.K. Basu guidelines. The D.K. Basu guidelines or the amended CRPC or NHRC guidelines have not stopped custodial deaths. You may remember last year during COVID, a father and a son were killed in police custody because they opened their shops during the curfew hours. We need more stringent legal provisions as well as change